Hey everybody, I wanted to quickly jump into this new piece of software that recently came out called Plasticity. Maybe you already have heard of it or maybe already begun to play with it. I wanted to look at it from an industrial design perspective. Is the software good enough to be used for industrial design projects? Is it better than some other software out there? And how can I compare it? So for this video, I decided to recreate this microphone that you see here. And if we go into the different shading options, you can see it's quite detailed. And what Plasticity is really good in is creating these soft edges and soft surfaces. So even though it is a CAD modeling program, it's very easy to create super smooth surfaces. And I would argue it's a little bit better than Rhino is, for example. It has some quirks and also some missing features that I would love to see, but it is still in development and it will probably get better and better with time. So without babbling on too much, let's get into the project. Okay, in the beginning we are faced with a solid. On the left-hand side, you can see your object tree, and then on the right-hand side, you can see different options for modeling, and then also your tools on the right toolbar here. The first thing I did is go into the preferences, and then under navigation, I scrolled down and then clicked on Rhino. So for me, this is the most natural way to navigate in a 3D software. And then also I clicked invert zoom direction, which gives me a similar experience that I'm used to. Also under grids and units, I would prefer millimeters. It usually is set on meters. And then I decided on a grid size of 1000 millimeters. All right, that's it for the settings. So you can either go ahead and delete the first solid or just hide it for size references. And then let's go into our top view. So here you can double click on the X and Y plane in order to go to the top view. And then we are also constructing on that XY plane, as you can see up here. The first thing I would do is create a rectangle, click and hold in order to create a center rectangle. Then click on the origin, and then we're gonna tap once and set the width to 60 millimeters and the height to 40. So now I have this rectangle, which is my size reference. What I need now is some curved splines. So let's go to the spline curve and click once on the left-hand side, and then click once on the center and once on the right upper side, and then click enter or right click to accept. Now in the selection mode control points, I want to highlight those centermost points, and with clicking G, I can move them up a bit. And you can see that even though I moved it and changed the position, it still is active. The tool is still active, and I can change here to move it exactly 2 millimeters up. I need the same on the right side as well. So click once in the middle and then once down here, accept, and then select the two center points, G, and then move it right for about 2 millimeters. And then hit enter to accept. Now we have two of our sides, and in order to select the curve now, we need to go out of the control point selection mode and then either on selection mode edge or just have everything selected. So just hold shift and then click all of these selection modes. So now you can highlight and select points, curves, surfaces, and everything. So we need to mirror those curves now. I will highlight one curve, click Alt X or mirror down here, and then now you can select the positive Y with selecting Y, and then enter. Now it's mirrored down here. The same thing we're going to do with the other one, but now we're going to mirror it around the X axis, click enter. Now we have our main sketch. So we don't really need this reference rectangle anymore. And with all these curves, it will create an area that we can extrude. So now with your right mouse button, you can move out of the top view. You can also reset the construction plane. And now we can extrude the sketch upwards. And we need a distance of about 145 millimeters. This is the height of our microphone. And select OK. Currently the camera is in an orthographic view, but we can click here once to switch into perspective mode. So now it looks a bit more natural. And you can also right click on it to change the field of view to 35 degrees. So now it's a bit more natural. These curves I don't really need anymore, so I can hide all of them. And the next step is to round all these corners. So this is really where plasticity shines in my point of view. You can also show the edges to see what we're doing. Since we have all the selection modes selected, we can click once to go into the solid and then select all these edges that we want to round. Now it's already giving me the fillet tool, so it predicts what I wanted to do. And then if we drag it outwards, it will create a fillet. If we drag it inwards, it will create a chamfer. So we're gonna create a fillet. And what we're gonna do is go here to the G2. So this is curvature continuous. And then we're gonna go to D, press D, and that will give us a input for both sides. So I can now just hit my distance. So for example, I wanted to have, I think 12 millimeters and hit enter. And this is now my rounded shape. So hit OK. And we can check the curvature in order to see if it did it right with changing the shading mode. And I think this looks really nice. So all the reflections are moving along the surface quite nicely. All right, next is all these edges. And the good thing is we don't really need to select all of the edges. It will attempt to automatically select the tangent edges. So as soon as I drag this out, it will try and chamfer or fillet all the tangent edges. And again, I'm gonna type D and then go into my fillet distance, which is 13 millimeters, and then make sure to be on G2 and press enter. So this is now my filleted shape, and I'm pretty certain that I cannot do this that easily in another piece of software, such as Rhino, for example. So this makes it really special. Again, we can check in the different shading modes how we are doing in terms of continuity. This looks really good. So next we want to split this part into 3 pieces. So again, double click on the XY plane in order to go to the top. Next I want to have a rectangle, go to the center, and then go to the width, and then we need a 15 millimeter rectangle. So press 15, and the length doesn't really matter. So just click here, press OK. Now we want to split the part, so just click the part. Down here we have a tool called Cut Solid with Curve, or press C, and then select the cutters. In this case, I want to select my sketch. Press OK. Now back in the perspective, you can see that now we have 3 separate solids. This curve we don't really need anymore, so let's hide it. Now select one of these side pieces, and we want to select all of the faces, and it already prepared the offset face tool. So without me clicking anything, it already predicted that we want to offset the face. So now either go ahead and click and drag this yellow tool, or go in here and then left click drag to the left, and we're going to set the offset distance to -1 millimeters and hit OK. So now all these faces are offset inwards for 1 millimeter. And this is a really handy tool which probably saves a lot of time compared to how you would do it in other softwares. So we could do the same thing with the other side, but I'm choosing to just hide it, and that basically creates a backup for me. We're gonna just mirror this other piece around the y-axis and then hit enter. So now we have a hidden backup whenever we need to make changes, and a new part, a mirrored part. All right, let's quickly make the chamfer here. We want to soften this hard edge. So we go into this center piece and then highlight both of these edges. And if we go inwards, we're gonna create a chamfer. You can see we're gonna go about 1 millimeter. So hit D for the distance and then type in -1, hit OK. So again, we can check our progress with the different shading tools. It looks really nice. Okay, let's continue with our split. And splitting surfaces is really easy. We did it already once. This time we're gonna go ahead and double click on the XZ axis in order to go to the front. So now we just need a line, and what helps me here is we can snap to the grid in order to just make a perfect straight line right around here. Right click to accept, and with this line we can now cut our part. Let's go out of the construction plane, and if I hit E, it will extrude our line. Now I have a lot of options here, so let's just extrude it outwards a little bit, and then we're gonna hit Tab to lock the distance for both sides. And another option I have is to create a thickness. So here I want to create a thickness in order to split it with a solid piece. I'm going to choose 0.1 millimeters on both sides, in both directions, and then hit OK. So now we want to cut our pieces. For this, I'm going to highlight one of the sides and then my tool, and then hit Q. So already it shows me the correct operation, but I want to keep my tool in order to recreate this cut on the other side. So hit OK. And again, for the other side, Q. And then now we don't need to keep the tool and select OK. Now we have cut both sides. Again, I could have done this with mirroring, but there is always more than one option to get to your desired outcome. If you don't want to see the lines in the back, you can always select or deselect the X-ray mode. So this just looks a bit more cleaner. We're pretty far along already. Now let's create our button and our logo. So again, I'm going to double click onto the X and C plane in order to go to the front. And with the X-ray mode enabled, so I'm going to see my sketch, we're going to create a circle. If you don't see your tool snapping to any of these elements, you have object snap disabled. So just enable snapping. I'm gonna just go into the center, and then with tab, I'm gonna type in 15 millimeters. So that's creating a 15 millimeter circle. Now with hitting G, I want to move this to the correct position. And I think it needs to be a little bit more to the top. Perfect. Hit OK. And then I'm going to select not the edge, but the area. And then that will create a solid one. So if I'm hitting the edge or the sketch itself, I'm hitting E to extrude, this will only create a hollow surface. So again, hit the area, and then we're gonna go a little bit inwards. And the good thing is now we can already select our bodies to cut. So this tool is basically 2-in-1. It saves you one step. Select OK. Now we can hide our sketch again. Next up, we want to play a little bit with the radius. So let's go in here, and on the actual microphone, the logo piece is being pushed into the surface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an uneven fillet. So we always have two distances, which is one side and the other. And usually it will always be the same, but if we go ahead and disable snap to grid, we can now dial in the perfect distance. What I'm going to do is go with a 0.5 millimeter in one direction and a 2 millimeter distance into the other direction. And this basically creates a little bit of a volcano shape, different to what we're used to. And then also I can hit G2 in order to be curvature continuous on that fillet, and hit OK. Now I can highlight this surface here, and with Shift D, I can duplicate that. Now we have a so-called sheet, so this is a standalone surface. And with that, I can create my plaque by clicking E and extruding that to the front. And now it's important to hit B in order to create a new body, and hit OK. Now we have our plaque and our main body. And again, we can go ahead into our different shading options and then disable the edges in order to look at our progress. So now that I see it, I changed my mind with the radius. I wanted to have a bit more radius here. I want it to be softer. So one really cool thing about plasticity is it's a bit smarter than some other programs in that I can highlight this surface. As long as it's not intersecting another surface and it doesn't really know what to do, I can hit delete, and now it reset my fillet. I again have this edge, which I can create a new fillet on. Very hassle-free. I can create a soft radius, go G2, and then play with the sizes until I'm satisfied. So let's go with a 1 millimeter on the outside. I think this is a bit nicer. But yeah, this looks fine. And I'm going to do the same thing here on this lower edge as well. So let's show the edges again. And let's create a uneven edge here as well, or uneven fillet. So go G2, and then draw that a little bit up. So now it just looks like the surface is slowly going into our edge here and then disappearing to the back. It's not just a standard fillet, it creates a bit more tension. Select OK. So we're gonna do the same thing here as well. Gonna G2, and then one distance is about 0.6 and the other 1.5. Okay, so now we have a really soft surface that has a bit more tension down here. It flows to the inside, and this is also super hard to do usually. Okay, next up the button. Again, go to the XZ plane, double click, and then we create another circle. So let's go to the center, hit tab, and this time I'm going to create a little bit bigger circle, about 20 millimeters, hit enter. Then we're gonna go out of the construction plane, we're gonna move our sketch to the front just so we see it, and then hit enter, and we're gonna extrude our area again. So I'm gonna extrude it inwards a bit. Again, we're gonna select our target body to cut. Now we can already see the depth. So we don't need that much. Let's go 7 and hit OK. Again, I'm gonna hide my curve. We're gonna with this cutout. So what I can also do is I'm gonna highlight our edge here, and then with F, I can find a tool, another tool that I need. So a lot of times Plasticity will show you relevant tools down here, but if you don't see it, it will be in the commands bar. So now we're gonna search for offset, and here we have offset curve, but we also have offset edge. So select offset edge, and then I'm gonna type in 1 millimeter and then hit enter. So now we have an area again. So this is a bit similar to how Fusion 360 uses sketches and edges. So even though we only have an edge here and a curve here, Plasticity recognizes that we have an area that it encircles. So we have the inside circle, we have the outside circle that we now can use. So we can either offset this face, but I'm going to hit E to extrude. This gives me the option for this new body. So hit B for new body and then go outwards. So I'm gonna go with a distance that is slightly less than my main body. So hit OK. Now we have our LED ring. So again, I'm going to select this area here, this inner area, and we're gonna extrude our button. What we can do is hit E, extrude outwards. Of course, we need a new body, so hit B. And here we can now choose our draft angle. We can create a cone basically. I'm going to go with a draft angle of, let's say, 4 degrees and a distance of maybe 15 millimeters. That looks about right. And then hit OK. All right, all of these new parts need fillets. So let's go ahead, click this edge, and then we're gonna fillet that with a G2 radius of, let's say, 1 millimeter, and then hit OK. Then this outside edge also needs a small one. Go to the outside, and then we're gonna go D for distance, and then 0.5, enter, and then hit OK. And then our LED ring doesn't really need a radius, but we can give it a conic radius of, let's see, 0.1, and then hit enter. So again, we're gonna check our progress. I think this looks really nice already. All of the parts have nice fillets. It's all quite soft, but also precise. So it's a really good mix of soft and precision. I'm seeing that this one still hasn't gotten a radius, so let's just fix that. Show the edge, and then Let's give it a 0.5 millimeter radius and then hit OK. I'm gonna do the same thing here as well. Go to the outside, B and 0.5, enter. All right, so now we wanna create our stand. And in order to do that, we need to offset our outside surface. And this usually is really hard to do, really difficult, but Plasticity really makes it easy. So let's go ahead and go back into our shading mode with our edges. And then I'm going to select those outside surfaces. Again, we already have offset face selected, but we still need to duplicate. Otherwise we would delete or offset this original face. So Shift D in order to duplicate. Now we have a separate surface, and if we want to offset this, we need to select the faces. So this is a bit hard, and I found that the best workaround is either to move it to the side, or I'm gonna just hide this center piece for the time being. So now we can select all of our surfaces separately. So let's go ahead, select this one. So now we have it selected. Now we can our main part, which is this one, and we can decide on our distance. So I think I'm going with 5 millimeter distance. This looks nice, and hit OK. So this creates a perfect offset of our main side surfaces. Next step is to create thickness out of this piece. So let's select it and then either click here or type F and then type in thicken. Now select thicken sheet, and that will give us a solid body. And I'm going with a thickness of 2.5 millimeters and then hit OK. Now it's still a bit high, so I don't need that full length. And there's a few different ways we can deal with that. So we can either cut it in the appropriate length, or I found that we can also just select these faces. I'm gonna just shift select these faces, and then we're gonna offset them basically downwards. So this is super handy. Let's go with -60, or just easy numbers, and then hit OK. Next up, we want to fillet these edges in order to create a round end here. So go outwards until they meet in the center. So here we cannot be perfect. Match them, it will actually create a hard edge at some point. So I'm just choosing to stay conic and then type in D for the distance and type in 6.5. I think this should be fine. And then hit OK. Okay, next up we need our connecting elements. So this time we're gonna go to the YZ axis, double click. So we're jumping to the side view. I'm going to go with our center circle. So now we need to find the center line. I'm going to snap to grid and then disable object snapping and go into the X-ray mode. So this will just jump to our main axis. So click here once. I'm going to go with, let's say 10 millimeter radius and then hit OK. So now we have our curve in the center. Now I have not found a way yet to select this area. So every time I will click here, I will select the overlying part, even though I have X-ray toggled on. So what we can do is either select all of these elements and then just quickly hide them, or select H. So now we can select our area in the center here. What we want is a extrusion on both sides until our brace element. So let's go and just extrude it and then hit tab in order to extrude to both sides. So I'm not going to extrude it all the way, just to create a little bit of separation, and B for new body. So click OK. And now we can unhide all of our hidden pieces. Now I'm going to select our center element and our connecting element and then hit Q in order to Boolean, and then click Q again in order to union. Select OK. Now we have one element. So now we can select those two edges, hit Shift, and we can fillet those with a G2 radius of 1.5 and hit enter. Now we have created these little ears that are connecting to our brace. So the next thing is I want to have those two adjusting screws. So go ahead and double click on the YZ plane again to go to the side view. And then now I'm going to create a plane cylinder. And with the object snap enabled, I'm finding the center here of our screw or of our axis. And then we're gonna go with a 10mm radius and a height of probably not more than 5. Let's see, maybe 8. So again, we want to have a new body, so press B and then hit OK. So now we have a solid object here in the center. I'm gonna go out of the construction plane and then hit G to move it outwards. So I think this screw is a bit big, but we can just select it, hit S, then we can click and drag in this center ring in order to resize it. So I'm going with 0.8 of the original size and hit OK. Now we can move it a bit further, and then this is our adjusting screw. But of course the adjusting screw needs knurling, and this is quite easy to do actually. So let's go ahead and create our knurling. What I sometimes do is create a copy of our element that I'm working on. So Shift D to duplicate, and then I'm going to move that outwards just a bit to give us space to work in. Hit OK. And in this one, our original, I'm just hiding. Now we're gonna go into the top view, and I'm going to go with a line, and my line should just move across the center point. Something like this. Since I'm having grid snaps on, it's quite easy to create this angled line here, and then hit OK. So now we have our line. We can project this onto our surface. So here on the lower toolbar, it already prepares some of the tools that I might use. And one of them is project curve onto surface. So click here. Then I'm going to go with the target body and our curve. Hit OK. And then this will create a new curve on the bottom, in this case, of our surface. There's one more step we need to do in order to create our knurling, which is extending these curves. So in CAD modeling, you do something called overbuilding in order to cut cleanly. So for that, we need to rebuild our curve to have a few control points. So set OK. And then with our control point selection, we can click once on one side, and we're gonna hit F to find the extend curve tool. So what I'm going to do is go natural and then a bit outwards, so 1mm outwards, and then the same thing for the second side, and then hit OK. So now we have a projected curve that is a bit overextended for us to work with. So now I'm going back into our edge selection mode, or just hit 5 in order to have everything highlighted. So now we can select everything, points, edges, surfaces. I'm going to select this curve and then hit P in order to create a pipe. So now with that pipe, I'm just dialing in the dimensions. I think 0.4 might be nice. And we're gonna go with a new body, so no cutting yet. Hit OK. And we're gonna click on the body and then hit G in order to slightly move it down. And this happens, so just deselect grid snaps. And we're gonna just move it down so it intersects just a bit. Okay, now with this selected, we already have a tool called radial arrays highlighted here. I'm gonna hit the radial array and then select our center point, which is the center of the cylinder. And then already we have a array. We could just dial in the amount. I think I'm going with around 30 and then hit OK. So now all of these are selected. Before we deselect everything, we're gonna hit Control G or create here a group of all these objects. So now we have a group where all these elements are inside. Now I'm going to highlight all of them again and then hit Shift D in order to duplicate all of them. And then again, I'm going to create a group. So this second group, we are going to flip. And in order to flip it, I think the easiest way to flip it is to go to scale and then with the right side, so here I think it's the X direction, I'm typing in -1. That basically flips the complete direction, and then hit OK. So now before we're doing any cutting, I want to chamfer those two edges. So go to the inside, and then I'm typing in C minus 0.5. And this creates a 0.5 millimeter chamfer. So let's unhide our cutting tools. And what we can do is just select our solid, our knob element, hit Q. And then for the tool bodies, we can select all of the bodies here. Of course, we want the difference. So just go ahead and click OK. This maybe takes some time, but it's fairly quick. So this is our knurling pattern on that knob. Perfect. Let's go ahead and move that back into position. So I'm going to move that just a hair off the brace element. So hit OK. Now we are almost there. We can hide our curves that we don't need. Let's just hide them. And I'm quickly mirroring that to the other side. So hit X and enter. That creates a mirror element. We can always rename our solids. So for example, this is the brace element, our two knobs. This could be the dial, the ring. Okay, we're almost finished now. The only two things left is our center stock element and our base. So just for the base, we're going to create a cylinder again. So go into the top plane. Let's go with a cylinder. Hit center, and then I'm just clicking somewhere in order to bring up all our options. So hit B for new body. I'm going to select our 60 millimeter radius and the height of, let's go 5 millimeters, and then hit OK. This is gonna be our base plate. So let's move that one down. Let's go about 80 millimeters downwards. That should be okay. And then I'm going to chamfer this edge a little bit. So it creates a bit of a inset, which just looks nice. Okay, and the last thing is we're gonna click on cylinder, click once in the center, and again to bring all our options, hit B. And now we're going to the radius, should be around 6 millimeter radius, and then the height could be about 67. All right, and then hit OK. So now we just need a few more fillets. And we have our finished model. So let's see it without any overlays. We can go ahead into our shading options and see for ourselves how all these surfaces look. I think this looks pretty damn good for such a quick model. So I hope you learned something today. If you did, hit the like and subscribe button down below, and be sure to hit the bell icon in order to not miss any future videos. This model you can download from my website, I'll link that down below. And you can also check out Plasticity, link as well in the description. Alright, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and see you next time.